So good day again. This will be the pre-lab discussion for Exer 8, which is your peroxide value determination as part of your exercises for your Chem 131 laboratory. Okay. So first, let's determine the types of rancidity as mentioned before. So yung sa peroxide value, what we measure is the oxidative rancidity. So this oxidative rancidity is due to the formation of your peroxide. Okay? So as recall from your free fatty acid number, ang minimeasure naman natin doon ay yung hydrolytic rancidity due to the presence of water or your lipase. Okay? So this was already discussed from the previous exercises. So ang focus natin dito ay yung paano ba natin ma-measure yung oxidative rancidity that may have already happened in your oil. So dito nalalaman natin kung good quality pa ba yung oil or not. So oxidative rancidity is measured via formation of peroxides, and this is resulted from the more complex lipid oxidation processes. So these lipid oxidation processes are collectively termed as auto-oxidation. So this auto-oxidation, the products of each phase of the auto-oxidation process will increase or decrease over time, making it difficult to quantitatively measure lipid oxidation. So let's see this reaction. No? So we have 4 steps for auto-oxidation of unsaturated lipids. So first, we have the initiation step. So for the initiation step, the oxidative initiators are the following. We have the chemical oxidizers, we have the polyvalent transition metals, we have the enzymes, we have the heat and sunlight. That's why meron tayong mga notice or reminders dun sa mga labels ng ating cooking oil na before use, dapat kinikip natin siya sa mga cabinets na hindi exposed sa light or sa mga room temperature lang, meaning hindi exposed din sa matinding init because these heat, sunlight are oxidative initiators, meaning dito nagsisimula yung production natin ng peroxides. Okay? So this initiation proceeds to the generation of your radicals by abstraction of the hydrogen atom. So as you can see here from the equation, you have 2 hydrogen, pero as you proceed with the initiation step, na-cleave yung ating hydrogen bond forming the radical na R group, and this radical can form this kind of radical via transfer of electron from the pi bond. Okay? So pwedeng transfer yung ating radical dito. Ito yung ating radical, di ba? So the auto-oxidation of unsaturated lipids will proceed to the step 2. After initiation, what happens is the chain propagation. So by chain propagation, the oxygen combined with the unsaturated fatty acid will produce the peroxides. Okay? Here are your peroxides and also the free radicals, which both are very reactive. Okay? So pwedeng ganito yung mangyari. Yung ating R radical reacting with oxygen will produce the RO2 radical. Then the RO2 radical with the initial unsaturated fatty oil will be reacting with your RO2 radical, forming the R radical and your peroxide. Okay? Tapos, ito na yung mga nangyayari. Pwede ka mag-form ng peroxide or ng alcohol. Okay? Then after chain propagation, what happens next is your chain branching. By chain branching, yung ating peroxide will form another RO radical and OH radical. And pwedeng yung dalawa naman nating ROH can produce RO2 radical, RO radical, and water. So you can see, pero ka na-form na water. And as mentioned from the previous module, di ba ang water can cause another rancidity which is your hydrolytic rancidity. So medyo maraming nangyayari when it comes to auto-oxidation. Then ang ating step 4 will be the chain termination step. So yung mga radicals natin, magko-combine lang sila. So yung dalawang R radical, so magpo-form lang sila into hydrocarbon, and tong R radical and RO2 radical, magpo-form lang sila ng as ROOR, yan. So this happens when oxygen level is too low. So wala nang oxygen na pwedeng mag-proceed for the chain initiation step or chain propagation step rather. So pag hindi na makakapag-propagate, what happens is yung mga radical ay sila-sila na lang yung nagko-combine as we terminate the chain. Okay? And the end products are unreactive compounds including hydrocarbons, aldehydes, and ketones. Okay? Actually, these end products of the chain termination are the one responsible for the changes in the odor and flavor of the rancid fats. Kaya, minsan feeling mo iba na yung lasa or amoy ng oil, ay dahil yun sa mga hydrocarbons, aldehydes, and ketones that may have been produced after the auto-oxidation of the unsaturated lipids. Okay? So, to measure this, we make use of peroxide value. So, peroxide value is the measure of extent of oxidative rancidity that the sample has undergone. So, ibig sabihin, yung peroxide value natin ay yung value ng ating PV dun sa real time na nangyayari dun sa ating oil na if nag-oxidative rancidity na ba siya, ano yung corresponding PV niya at that time. Okay? And the PV value can be expressed as milliequivalent of peroxide per kilogram of sample or millimole of peroxide per kilogram of sample. And the value of PV, para masabi natin siya ay rancid, ay dapat greater than or equal to 20 milliequivalent per kilogram. Okay? Actually, kapag mga values below 20, kanwari mga 15 to 20, slightly rancid na yon. Okay? So the oxidative rancidity in edible fats and oils is due to auto-oxidation of unsaturated fatty acids. So for the principal part, during the pre-titration reaction, what happens is your hydroperoxides o yung mga peroxides natin will oxidize iodide to iodine. Okay? Tapos, yung iodine natin dito will be the one treated during the titration. The liberated iodine will be titrated by standard sodium thiosulfate solution, producing your iodide ion. So parang same lang din siya with your iodine number determination. Na yung liberated I2 natin will be the one titrated using your standardized sodium thiosulfate producing your iodide ion. So basically, gagamit ka rin ng starch during titration. And as you can see here, the equivalence of your peroxide is equal to the equivalence of I2 produced. Kasi 1:1 naman yan. And yung na-produce mong I2 ay equal naman sa equivalence of sodium thiosulfate used. So in here, for the standardization of thiosulfate, so same lang ito with your procedure from the iodine number determination. Next is the procedure for your sample. So ipe-prepare natin yung sample na ilalagay sa iodine flask. And then we add the solvent to dissolve the fat or oil. So yung acetic acid natin is to prevent the formation of hypoiodide. Okay? And then for the pre-titration, we added our Ki solution to produce or to liberate our I2. And then we added our starch indicator. Since ang ating starch forms complex with your iodine in the form of color blue complex. And once we have already added enough amount of standardized sodium thiosulfate, mawawala na yung color blue niya kasi completely reacted na yung ating iodine with the sodium thiosulfate to form your iodide ion. So yung endpoint natin is yung disappearance of blue color. So for your calculation, as mentioned, ang PV natin ay, ang unit is milliequivalent of peroxide per kilogram fat. So huwag kayong malilito dito, no? So sa kanya, kilogram fat. Then for PV, yung weight of fat sample natin, syempre, since nag-weigh tayo using our analytical balance, i-convert mo na lang siya from grams to kilogram fat later on. And then your milli-equivalent ROH ay equal dito sa ating milli-equivalent of I2 and milli-equivalent of sodium thiosulfate. And na meron tayong information or data is the equivalence of sodium thiosulfate from the titration data. And this, we can calculate this by getting the difference of NV of the sample or equivalence of the sample minus the equivalence of the blank. So, as you can see here, so kung ano yung volume na nagamit sa sample, mas malaki naman compared doon sa volume na magagamit sa blank. Kasi nga, sa blank, wala ka namang oil na nagamit or na-introduce dun sa ating blank. That's why dito, ayan, kung ang blank mo ay walang ROH, so konti lang yung, or wala, basically, dapat wala kang mapoproduce na I2. Okay? And yung amount of I2 doon will be directly correspondence with the amount of sodium thiosulfate na magagamit mo as you reach the endpoint. So dapat maliit lang yung ml na magagamit mo for the titration of the blank kasi nga wala ka namang peroxide sa blank natin. So walang magko-convert ng iodide sa iodine. Okay? Okay. So, yun lang naman yung ating peroxide value. So, this is a measure of the quality of the oil. Okay? So, I think this ends the presentation for the pre-lab discussion of exercise 8, which is your peroxide value. So, ang pinaka-take note na lang natin dito is that yung ating, during the titration part, you have to take note na yung ating cover of iodine should not be removed during the titration and tatanggalin mo lang siya if magdadagdag ka na ng starch. Okay, I think this is already included in your Canvas course site. So, if you have any questions regarding this, you may raise it during our synchronous consultation. So, thank you for listening. I will end the discussion now.